Some of my most favourite things to do growing up as a kid was to watch films and play video games. One of my favourite films I watched as a kid was James Cameron's The Terminator. This was a sci-fi movie about a robot sent back from time to kill the mother of the unborn leader of the future resistance. A plot which, for a young kid, was a little confusing. But that didn't matter when the action and effects were brilliant. Ocean seemed to be snapping up licenses to movies that could be used to make games. So it's a little mystifying why this movie had such a troubled relationship with video games. You would have thought this movie had all the ingredients for a fantastic video game. In 1988, Sunsoft had acquired the license to make a Terminator video game based on the movie, but Hemdale Film Corporation did not like the direction the game was going in, so Sunsoft lost the license, and after some binary surgery, their game was reworked to Journey to Silas. Then, in 1991, Bethesda tried their hand at a Terminator game for the PC DOS market, and it allowed the player to either control Kyle Reese and try and save Sarah Connor, or they could choose the Terminator and try and kill Sarah Connor. I never knew anyone with a PC at the time of the game's release, but judging feedback from those in the community that have played it, opinions are mixed. But as the game lacked any real sound, I am sure it would not have been a game I enjoyed. Thankfully, in 1992 though, Probe Software developed this rather brilliant run-and-gun platformer for the Sega Megadrive. The player takes control of Kyle Reese, a soldier fighting in the human resistance against Skynet and its machine army. In the first level, set in 2029, Kyle must infiltrate a Skynet facility while fighting various machines along the way. The gameplay then shifts to 1984, where Kyle must find and protect Sarah Connor from the Terminator, break her out of jail, and then kill the Terminator in the Cyberdyne factory. And that's it. This game is unbelievably short. Blink and you can miss the playthrough. But before I get to that, I want to talk about the visuals in the game, which are absolutely superb, especially the animation on the main sprite. It's fan-frickin-tastic, especially for the Mega Drive. The levels as well are really nicely drawn, with this mix of grey, blue and orange for the backgrounds of the first level, doing a brilliant job of displaying the dark and dimly lit corridors. The other three levels do not look as good as this, but they still look good, and the Tech Noir Club is well presented in the game. The enemy sprites are not as well animated, and the Terminators in the first level sort of shuffle jump along. The animation is rough to say the least, but when standing still or shooting, the sprites look fine. There are some enemies that are less recognisable though. These crafts that fly in and out of the screen dropping parachute bombs, I do not recall seeing them in the film, and this tank-like robot does not resemble the one from the movie. But it doesn't look bad, and actually, it doesn't look out of place in the game. In between the levels, you get these digitised stills from the movie, and some text that pushes the story along, and they look great too. Normally, when the Mega Drive does digitised stills, they look grainy and horrible, but in this game, they look really good. The sound is awesome in this game. The machine gun and explosion effects are amazing, and the music is certainly adrenaline pumping. It really does push the player along. In the level set in 1984, The shotgun blast sounds more like a Magnum 44 than a shotgun, but by God, it sounds absolutely superb. The gameplay is a real letdown, however. The game is certainly challenging, and I found myself having to use a cheat to progress. But the challenge, I think, is artificial. It's put in there to simply cover up a very, very short game. With only 4 levels and no real replay value, it was hard to justify the £40 price tag for the game. I mean, sure, it was a lot of fun as you were playing it, and I really did enjoy the game all those years ago, but it's over too quickly. It's like a pack of Maltesers. Really nice, but there is never enough of them. And after finishing the bag, your hunger is not satisfied. This game feels a lot like that. Look, I had waited years to get to play a Terminator game, and when it did come out, it wasn't enough to suppress that Terminator itch. By the time it did come out, I had moved my Megadrive into the wardrobe and was focusing on the Super Nintendo. But when a mate of mine called me to say he had it for his Megadrive, I leapt at the chance to go and play it. All I can say is I am glad it was not me who spent £40 on it. In fact, the game was so short, my mate had finished it already by the time I get round to his. It would only take about 14 or 15 minutes to complete on easy, but the harder difficulty settings were more of a challenge, and I do remember trying them, but only briefly. The ramp up in difficulty was just way too much. The game was praised in magazines and on TV shows for its visuals and sounds, but was slated for its poor value for money. But a year later, a version of the Terminator appeared on the Mega CD, but this version was a real surprise. Normally, when a Mega Drive game gets the Mega CD treatment, it's the same game, but with a better soundtrack and better sound effects. But the Terminator was a different game entirely. But that's a video for another time. I would say these days, Terminator on the Mega Drive is worth a shot on emulation. It's an enjoyable but short game, but it can certainly fill in a quick coffee break at work. And that was my look back at the Terminator on the Mega Drive. If you like this video, then please do give me a sub and a thumbs up, or maybe even a comment or two below about your opinions or memories of the Terminator. And a massive, huge, big thank you to all of those who have subscribed and commented on my channel. Your comments, feedback and support really do go a long way in helping the channel grow, and I do appreciate all of the support, so thank you from me. And that's all from me, folks. Thanks for watching.